can be really hard to live in a rural place like the North Country. For example, right now we are seeing how rising costs are causing more food insecurity across the region. And because rural resources are limited, volunteers and food pantries are pushed to fill that gap. Childcare is also scarce, even though families need it here just as much as anywhere else. Well, a philanthropic group in the Adirondacks is working to address some of those challenges. It's using its resources to help give people the community support they need. That's today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from the Wild Center in Tupper Lake, dedicated to strengthening visitors' connections to the natural world. More at wildcenter.org.
Hey, I'm Richard Haller. It's Monday, August 17th. First up, a new poll has Democrat Blake Gendebien holding a narrow lead over Republican Anthony Constantino in the North Country's congressional race. The poll was commissioned by WNYT in Albany and conducted by Survey USA. It shows Gendebien leading Constantino by 4 points. The two are running to replace Republican Elise Stefanik, who has represented the 21st Congressional District for more than a decade. The poll indicates that Gendebien has more support among independent voters than Constantino. 47% of independents surveyed favor Gendebien, while 28% support Constantino. A Democrat hasn't won a seat in NY21 in over a decade. There are 81,000 more Republicans in the North Country than Democrats. Cook Political Report rates this district as solidly Republican. Police in Akwesasne are warning community members about an illegal drug called pink cocaine. The drug often contains little or no cocaine, but can have other dangerous ingredients. NCPR intern Iram Twana Chifti reports.
Each batch of pink cocaine can be different. The only commonality is its bright pink color and an unpredictable cocktail of drugs. It can contain MDMA, ketamine, and opioids, including methamphetamine, all of which can cause deadly overdoses. St. Regis Mohawk Tribal Police Chief Matthew Rourke says he first heard about pink cocaine when responding to a drug abuse case. He says an individual fell unconscious after using the drug and had to be hospitalized.
It's not the whatever typical cocaine would be, but when you start mixing substances that are elevating heart rates and messing with your brain functions, that's going to be the biggest repercussion of taking a substance like this when it's unknown.
Rourke says pink cocaine use is not an epidemic in Akwesasne. In fact, he says they haven't seen any other cases after that incident.
Here was one incident that we had in our community, and one incident to me as the chief of police and to my department and to our health department is one too many, along with our leadership.
Rourke says that's why he and his team issued a health advisory about pink cocaine. They wanted to raise public awareness and let people know that they're monitoring the harmful substance. He says they're working with Akwesasne's chemical dependency program to inform the community about the dangers of drug abuse. And they're distributing Narcan, a medicine that can reverse opioid overdoses. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Iram Twana Chifti in Canton.
Last year was a record year for philanthropy in the U.S. For the first time in history, charitable giving surpassed $600 billion. But only a small fraction of that money ends up in rural America, places like the North Country. Emily Russell reports on an organization that channels tens of millions of dollars to strengthen and sustain Adirondack communities.
For a lot of folks, summer is a time to unwind, take a vacation. For Callie Brooks, it is one of her busiest times of year.
When I go to a cocktail party in the middle of summer, people are always like, oh my God, here she comes. But I go right up to people.
Brooks isn't shy about what she does. She helps raise millions of dollars for the Adirondacks. Brooks has led the Adirondack Community Foundation for more than 25 years. It's grown from a small team managing a few $1 million to something a lot bigger.
We are about $135 million in assets. We distribute about $12 million in grants and scholarships. We convene, we collaborate, we partner. We work with everybody who cares about this place, and we work across the region.
The The foundation raises money from individual donors as well as regional and national organizations. Donors decide where 80% of the funding goes. The rest is up to the foundation, which often focuses its funding on a hyper-local scale. It's given money to a youth hockey league in Shazy, a rescue squad in Long Lake, and a food co-op in Ticonderoga. Brooks says one of the foundation's strengths is just how well the staff knows the Adirondacks.
We know where the gaps are. We know where the opportunities are. We see where philanthropy is already working and working really well, and where philanthropy isn't quite working.
For example, green groups already raise millions of dollars to help protect the Adirondack Park. So the foundation focuses more on funding for childcare, workforce housing, and schools. Chris Savage is the principal of Tupper Lakes Middle and High School. For the last 3 years, the school has gotten $7,000 to $10,000 from the foundation. Savage says they use the grant to buy school supplies for every student.
There's not a surplus of money to go around in an average family income. And these philanthropic efforts by foundations like the Adirondack Community Foundation really helps lessen that burden and makes it more doable for families financially.
There are hundreds of community foundations across the country doing similar work, raising money and closing funding gaps that federal, state, and local dollars aren't reaching. Even some national philanthropic groups have honed in on helping rural areas like the Adirondacks.
We know that rural populations are underserved by philanthropy, and at the same time, they tend to have some of the highest concentration of persistent poverty.
That's Charlie Brown. He's the executive director of the Trust for Civic Life, a philanthropic organization that specifically funds rural regions across the country. Over the last few years, the Trust has given out about $19 million in grants, including $700,000 to the Adirondack Community Foundation. The Trust's goal is to get more folks involved in their communities, which Brown believes will ultimately lead to a stronger democracy.
We have to focus not just on bringing people together, but bringing people together to make decisions, solve problems, work together, that they can see the changes happen in their community. That's when we actually start to see civic renewal actually occur and become persistent.
Projects can range from rebuilding a community's food system to hosting fun after-school activities. That was the goal of the Elizabethtown Social Center in the Adirondacks. It got a $1,000 grant from the Adirondack Community Foundation for a Western-themed night hosted by local teens. The center's executive director, Lori House, believes those kinds of events can have a deeper impact on a place like Elizabethtown.
I feel really strongly that our community programs that are just fun, goofy things, kind of like this night, are really secretly a very powerful way for people to just remember that they like each other because they're face to face.
The success of the Western theme night led to an additional $5,000 grant from the Pearsall Foundation. That money will fund 3 more events. House says that's part of the power of the foundation. They help connect local organizations to generous donors.
To think that I can send a grant proposal for something to the Adirondack Community Foundation, and it gets such a variety of eyes on it. And I don't have to write 10 more grant proposals.
In more urban areas, a $1,000 grant can be just a drop in the bucket. But in the Adirondacks, these grants make a real difference. Callie Brooks, who leads the foundation, says that's a message she passes on to potential donors in the park.
By giving back, you can change a person's life so easily in the Adirondacks in a way you can't do that in some of our bigger urban areas or suburban areas.
In the last fiscal year, the Adirondack Community Foundation gave out $10 million in grants. That money went to local food pantries, housing projects, early childhood education, and more. The foundation expects to hit the $100 million giving milestone later this year, marking 3 decades of focused philanthropy in the rural Adirondacks. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio.
The Adirondack Community Foundation is an underwriter of North Country Public Radio. You can find more news all the time at our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Eddie Lawrence of Saranac Lake. I'm Richard Haller, North Country Public Radio.